So thank you, Devang. Guys, I won't take up any more of your time. I'll just hand over this session to Prashant in a moment. I'll just be setting up the ground rules for the meeting. All of you, most of you have been coming back, so I would request everybody to please keep their mics on mute. We've already done it, but I request, unless your question is picked and we asked you to come on unmute, do not switch on your videos because we're trying to preserve bandwidth. Except for the panelists, everybody's videos will be off and everybody will be on mute here. You may type your questions in the chat box. We will be trying to pick up a few questions at the end of Prashant's talk, and we'll be asking a few participants to add questions to him. Over to Prashant. Thank you.
Thank you, F.Stop, for calling me out. Shall I do this share screen now?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. That's me. What I'm going to share with you today is my journey, what I've learned in advertising, and how I use that advertising knowledge or the ideas that normally we come up in advertising industry to apply that in photography, which is my personal hobby or passion, whatever you want to call it. I passed out in 1982, ancient, about 2-3 light years ago. And I stood first in Maharashtra. And I had several job offers from big agencies. My one well-wisher friend said, why don't you go and meet? There's this gentleman who is extremely brilliant. And if he likes the portfolio, life will be made. So I took my portfolio. I used to stay in Dombeli. This gentleman used to stay in Prabhadevi. So I lugged my big portfolio in the train. I was supposed to meet him at 10 o'clock. I reached his house at 10:15. And when I entered, he looked furious. So he ordered me to sit on that table. He has given me a large cape of paper. I said, sir, I came here to show you my portfolio. He said, no, I don't want to see your work. So he's given me a huge sheet of paper. And he said, he wrote this question on that paper. What is a half of 13? And he said, I'm going out. I'll come back after 2 hours. I'm going to buy vegetables and do some of my personal work. In the meanwhile, you solve this problem. And I said, I came here to show my work. I stood first. I had several jobs. I was cursing myself. Why did I come here? He's giving me some stupid math question. So I stared at the paper. It was written, what is half of 13? So I've written this 6.5 and just sat there. Looked outside the window, twiddled my thumb, asked for water, looked around his room and waited. And half the mind saying, okay, let's go home and forget about this gentleman. But I said, since I came all the way here, let's meet him and at least see what he says. When he came and saw the answer on my sheet of paper, he said, you cannot become artist. Just go home. You're fit to become accountant. Which was surprised me and said, so he took the pencil of me and started several things. So he said, this is half of 13. I can hear somebody's voice. Can you just ask them?
Devang, can you mute everyone?
Okay, thank you. So this is half of 13. He said, this is 13. This is half of 13. This is 13. This is half of 13. This is 13. This is half of 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 13. This is half. And he filled the whole page with different answers to the simple question. And then he tore the whole sheet into 7 pieces. He kept 6 pieces in front of me He cut the 7th piece half and kept it on table. On that half paper, he wrote "think differently." He said, whenever you get faced with the problem, don't come up with one solution. Try and come up with thousands of solutions and then choose what is the one thing is right. So this is the lesson that I learned, like other people, Mera Saab, and said, they took 4 years. He went to Kashmir and then realized he need to relook at his work. In my case, my first year out of college, this is the lesson I got. He said, never do the work which everybody else is doing. Never do cliche. Never tell what is obvious. Tell always differently. Tell your stories differently. And I used to do wildlife photography. So all the birds are going in this direction. So I applied that thought into my photography. When I did advertising,
yet they're always friendly and they're ready to please. I like Chinese. There's 900 million of them. That's what I say. Like Chinese. I like Chinese. They come from a long way. To impress. They're always friendly and they're ready to please. Like I like.
same thing. When this is my first job.
ये ज़मीं ये आसमां, हाँ ये ज़मीं ये आसमां, हमारा कल हमारा आज, हमारा कल हमारा आज, बुलंद भारत की बुलंद तस्वीर, हमारा बजाज बुलंद भारत की बुलंद तस्वीर, हमारा बजाज
When Kelsey asked us to go out for 8 days and look at what people do, how they interact with the scooter, write down those visuals, come back and we will give it to the director to shoot exactly like that. So thinking, seeing visual, seeing life differently has helped us that time. I mean, I was very young in those days, but recently I did a campaign for outdoor. This is a Paddy who has come up with this idea. He said, if you take the indoor medium outdoor, basically it was Outdoor Association, which is a billboard association, wanted to do a campaign. And we said, we will take the indoor medium outdoor and show it gets more eyeballs. And I mean, we have all seen cricket. People used to watch the cricket outside the hardware store and things like that. So we've used the same idea and tried to create these images. And I was a photographer luckily got tons of award, but award means nothing, as Sopan said yesterday. The same thing, the radio, if you take it outside, it has a more earballs than eyeballs. Internet. I mean, we try to do different indoor medium, taken it outdoor. Again, these are again street, which I've seen the life differently. This is one of the image. I was doing a work for Rishi Valley School, and this girl, doing an art project, and she has taken all the dead leaves and dead branch, and she's created this wonderful, I mean, bringing it to the life, the dead tree. And I thought it's a very brilliant idea. And this is a brilliant example how a young kid came up and seen the life differently of a dead leaf. In the middle, somebody's asked me to given me a poem of Faiz Ahmed Faiz, and it said, you interpret in your own way how this poem in photography. So this is again love poetry. Basically, they meet and they separate, and then they meet again, and how the life without each other has traumatized them. So what I did was I've created this acrylic mirror, cut them into different pieces, taken them on the street, and shot. And that day, luckily, it rained, and I got this shot. Then I got interested and took this mirror in different places. It's basically one bamboo was there tied up and one bird, but because the mirror had different angle, it kind of created a nice surreal painting kind of effect, which I thought was interesting. And then I took different shapes, and I've done some thousands of photographs in the street, in cut mirror, in different shapes. I've also taken Picasso's paintings, cut the paintings in the mirror shape and shot them on the road, and Matisse and all. So it's kind of created an interesting body of work, which is distorted, which is like a abstract modern art painting. But I enjoyed the process because I really enjoyed the process of doing things differently. And these are the few images through that project which I did. The second thing that I've learned in advertising is we always combine things. I mean, even artists do character combinations, or industrialists add watch to the heartbeat to the apps and phone. So they're constantly combining things and creating new products. The same thing we do in advertising. My boss used to say 1 + 1 = 3. It's never a 2, because you can create 1 + 1 = butterfly. The film.
चक्का दुनिया का घूमे साधु संत बोले, हाँ सारे बोले आदमी मशीन बना हौले हौले, आदमी मशीन बना हौले हौले, हौले हौले मशीन चढ़ोले, हौले हौले मशीन चढ़ोले, हौले हौले मशीन चढ़ोले, हौले हौले मशीन चढ़ोले। हिमानी फास्ट रिलीफ, कंधा घुटना कमर दर्द मिटाए चुटकी में।
This is not my film. It is done by Ashish Sudanchi, Ram Dwani. I was just helping them in perspectives and shadows, and because it's all composites. I mean, personally, I think it could have been shot or done much better, but it was very old. So I like the idea. It's a combination of how man has become and demonstrated it brilliantly. This is a open shot. This, when Classic Fits was the idea that we had those days, and he took a lot of trouble. We had an 80-foot crane in those days to shoot this picture at Parsi Sanatorium. And to get the image right, we used to go to Lens to get the concept in place. This is art. Idea was Classic Fits. So we kind of juxtaposed different people with different things. The same thing I do, apply the same principle of mixing two things together. And wherever I see some interesting idea coming out, then I kind of take photograph. This is an iron rod lying, which is like a rusted. And then I saw the creeper going up, and I thought it's a beautiful life and death coming together. So it's a combination, kind of gives you very interesting images in life. I was walking down, there was a sculpture of this flying bird, and then there's a plane going. Again, it's a deadly flying, and it's both made out of steel. This, I mean, a lot of people have seen it. There are signs for the bird. It's very, there are signs for human beings, but it looks like signs that are done for the birds. This is like I mean, a lot of people have done this kind of shot, but I quite like the, trying to catch the cloud, and the other cloud is going off. And there's a dead tree here. So which kind of created its own unique story. Again, this is opposite my house. Some construction was happening and the parrots were going, and those iron rod looked like a building to me at that time. And there are no trees is a beautiful concept coming across here. So I thought it's a interesting picture. So lesson number 3 that I've learned in advertising is you need to think out of the box. You should never think straight. This is a film I found on YouTube. I mean, a lot of people must have seen it. It's quite funny. It's a stand-up comedian, Australian stand-up comedian. Just watch.
You got a light, mate?
Yeah, I have. Hold this one.
Excuse me, mate. Can you hold up for a minute? Yeah, sure.
Here's another one.
On n'a pas fini de vous faire aimer la viande.
Basically, if you really love non-veg, you should. And this is the film I've done for one of our clients. Sorry.
For the craziest deals in town, Groupon.co.in.
When I used to work on Colgate, it's the idea was to show the strong teeth, and then we've created this, on the dentures, we've created this impression on the gloves and shot the image. Again, strong teeth. Here, what typically happens is that when you're selling jewelry, magazine ads, the size of the magazine is 8x10, and the photograph becomes like 4x6, and the jewelry becomes really tiny. So I thought, why can't we just inverse it? Think it out of the box. And then I've created this, very arty images with the help of Sanjay Kothari, who's a brilliant photographer, painted the model white and did this whole series. This is a Botticelli. Everybody must have seen the Botticelli painting. And this is inspiration. Venus is coming out. The Daphne. One more lesson that I've learned in advertising is think upside down. You should, if everybody is thinking straight, you just turn the whole thing on its head and come up with ideas. And the same thing can be applied to photography. I'll just show you. This is the woman who wanted to prove her weight is 10 kilos. Let's see the film.
They're in the midfield and it's Yanis Munta Souza. Souza takes the ball and now he's down. He's down. He's down. The referee's blown his whistle. It's a yellow card.
Yeah,
What do you think about that, Terry?
I mean, he didn't touch him. I think the defender got the ball first.
Well, he's down. He's down on the ground and the referee's sure about it.
Very harsh, the referee, I think, yeah.
Places the ball down for the free kick.
Well, the wall's not 10 metres.
They're coming back a bit. What's this?
Oh, yes, a streaker.
If I'm not mistaken, this is our friend, what's his name again?
Mark Roberts, yes. Mark Roberts, the official Champions Cup final streaker.
We've got the police behind him. There we are. He's doing the pilot bit now.
when the day and age where everybody was showing phone, we said, what does the phone do? What does the industry do? It's basically you're expressing yourself. You're saying I love you. You're saying I hate you. You're saying I'm coming home late. You're telling and you're expressing and you're communicating. So why do you need to show phone? And we just inverse it on its head and never showed any phone or telephone connection. We just said, okay, what is the brand stand for? Stands for expression. And that's how we completely inverted what is the brand stand for. And this is the first photographic campaign I've did, thanks to Sopan. He wasn't free, and I just took the camera and taken the pictures, eventually got some awards. So then I realized I can shoot and I can be a photographer. And thanks to auto mode, life became simple. These are the images I took in those days. Okay, this is again another good example how the inverse idea was used in advertising and in my photography. I shot this campaign for Mumbai Mirror. Basically, all the bad guys hate Mumbai Mirror because they've been exposed by the Mumbai Mirror. And the whole idea was, this is the prostitute Aya is angry because she hates Mumbai Mirror. And I tried to recreate this reality, what Sopan says. And we used to do that with him many times. And I learned few tricks from him. So I got this assignment because the Paddy is a friend, and he said, why don't you shoot? I said, okay. And I did this campaign, which again won several awards across the globe. This is another campaign. Again, this contractor, casting the guy was very critical. You know, 2 phones and rings, and he's very stereotypical archetype guy we casted. And this is a Eve teaser. They all hate Mumbai Mirror because they've been exposed. In the street, again, I found something reverse. I mean, people are used to 9-yard sari, big tikli, riding. It becomes interesting photographic idea. So the same thing, I've applied it in my street work. Doing it physically ulta also makes it interesting sometimes, because it looks like she's swimming. I mean, I taken the shot from under the water, but it's not true. It's actually reversed it. This girl was practicing gymnastic in the pool. Reversing physically makes it interesting image. I mean, everybody's seen it. There's nothing new in this, but to demonstrate the idea of how the reversal works in life, this is the image. Physical reverse is always works. This is again image taken at Shivaji Park at every Sunday morning. This Dharavi kid comes and do gymnastic practice there. And these guys are really good. You should check it out sometimes when the corona is out. So even sculptors used, I mean, you've seen the fishes always in the water and sea, but he has done the sculpture in the air. I mean, how reversal works. I mean, I remember the Tata campaign, the girl was asking, how did you got the fishes in the air? And we did that in the photograph, but even the sculptor has used similar idea to do his sculpture. And this picture is shot in Australia when I was on holiday. Another great lesson is analogy. If in advertising we use this technique hell of a lot, and use that again in photography, I will demonstrate. There's a poster I've done many years ago. If there is no water, there won't be any tree, and those cracks look like a tree, which again become a fantastic idea. And you know, I was traveling once towards Egypt, and I looked down and I saw this river dried down, and that also looked like a tree. So those, I can apply the same no tree, no water, no tree, no tree, no water is principle here. So it's just got lucky, and this looks like a tree to me. When PepsiCo came, and their analogy was the farmer is a Purushottam. He's a food provider. He's the guy who brings the food on the table every day thanks to him. And they wanted to say thank you, and they called it Purushottam. And this is the film I directed. Tasadduk is a cinematographer. Fantastic work he's done. And
अगन है लगन है कर्म ही धर्म है सीने में गगन बाजू बजरंग हर सांस में आस है पसीने की प्यास है आंधी तूफान या टूटे आसमान रगों ने तेरी न सीखी थका रात में सूरज उगाता दिन की उम्र बढ़ाता कभी शिष्य कभी गुरु ज्ञान का तीज तू गणित का बीज तू कभी न करे प्रश्न जो जिंदगी का जश्न तू दाता है तू अन्नदाता पुरुषों में पुरुषोत्तम तू सावन सा पावन जीवन का सृजन मिट्टी में होली करुणा की बोली हरियाली की रंगोली कलाकार है सच्चा तू दाता है तू अन्नदाता पुरुषों में पुरुषोत्तम तू पेप्सिको को गर्व है कि वह अनेक कृषि उपायों द्वारा जुड़ा है किसानों के साथ आखिर हर किसान हमारा अभिमान पेप्सिको आवाज मिट्टी की
And in the street, I again do analogy. You see the bird, I mean the wings as a cloud, and this little kid is riding the horse. This is the campaign I did. Prasad Naik shot this campaign. The idea was to show the spring collection for W, and we did this huge 15 feet flower, flung the girl inside. It was 5 o'clock in the morning. As the dawn comes. And then this flap, the fabric at the end has fallen down. So the spot boy went back, and as he was going, I saw these beautiful ripples, and I said, "Hold on, sit there." And he fixed the backside, and we took this shot. And I think the taking on the spot decision of getting those ripples in was very interesting. Same thing. I just these are the images I've taken it as we go along. You see the analogy of I as a light, and I was traveling in the car and I saw this. So if you see things like these, then you really feel nice when you get shot like this. These are the three. Again, I staged this shot because I saw this chimney and I asked this guy the driver of mine to lay back, and I took this shot. But I thought it's a good idea as an analogy that what we are doing it to the world. Human beings are smoking. Again, analogy of peace. I was shooting this for Taj, some film we were doing, and I took this still where the pigeon was there. So the bird's eye view, I thought at that time was a great idea. But today, after Kasab and all this Bombay attack, this picture for me stands for peace. Another tremendous technique that advertising guys we use is humor. And again, use the same thing in my street photography. This is the film we have done for Big Rock. Commercials. Welcome to this client. We used to do some 30-odd commercial. Everything was hilarious and funny. The same thing I said, how can I use what I've learned in advertising in my street photography? This is, I think, Raj Thakre's dog. They take him for a walk. I saw this exhibition at Worli and got this image. Puncture repair is, we can fix punctures here, and you see this fat belly guy looking at me and laughing. This is shot in Goa. The humor here is that in life, women take most of our space. And I saw it as a nice analogy. I kind of compose the image in such a way that women get more space. Again, this is fun image. So if I see a humor in a situation, then I tend to take the picture. It's again shot in a kid on leash. I thought it was a very strange idea, but yeah. This Ganesh trying to burst the balloon was, again, I thought it was a funny image. A mermaid with the swap. It was just lying there, so it was really funny for me. Again, Worldly Sea Face, I saw this very strange. Crow was also doing yoga. One more lesson that everybody, I mean, in theater, in film, in advertising, in photography, we said you should always tell the story, and this is a lesson that everybody knows. Again, the same client, we did this film.
Dharma teaches us that all living things are children of God, even if they live only for 2 days. It is with this belief that we started Karma Pest Control. Ethical pest control is a new idea. It is a new approach. You don't have to kill pests. You only help them relocate. Did you know that mosquitoes hate the frequencies of other mosquitoes? Instead of harmful chemicals, we employ aromatherapy that makes them fall asleep. Our innovation, sponge sleepers. Our technique, circle of life. I often ask myself, how many insect souls make one human soul? My guru always told me, if you kill so many cockroaches, one day you will come back as one. This is not a lizard, this is your ancestor. At Karma Pest Control, our mission is to give you a pest-free home with a guilt-free heart. Today, thanks to our website, we have saved millions of pests.
Every business needs a website. Big Rock. Get a complete .org website for just ₹249.
Again, there's try to tell stories through the picture. This woman comes every day at 7 o'clock at Worldly Sea Face, and obediently all the crows sit on the ledge, and she kind of gives biscuits or whatever she's feeding every day. So it's very strange. I tried taking her photograph. Almost, I got lots of photograph of her feeding, calling crows and things like that. It's an interesting story for me. These are my parents who visited me 2-3 years ago, and they were walking on a Worldly Sea Face, and suddenly I saw this couple, and I took this image because I was taking their photograph, and I really loved the humor of it. Been there, done that, kind of a feel, young to old. Again, this image I shot in Ladakh, where this guy is in a light, and the other guy is depressed, and so one guy has seen the light, one guy is not, and he's in shadow. So I thought there's a very interesting story. I mean, if you just look at the picture. Dreams, this is the picture I shot for Adidas. I was shooting in Kashmir, and they're sponsoring the football thing, and the whole series of photographs I've done for them, Kashmiri kids playing football. There is this crow, they just cut this beautiful garden opposite my house in Prabha Devi. There used to be about 2,000 trees, I think, more than that. And then there's this gentleman used to come and feed the crows. And they used to sit on his lap, they used to sit on his shoulder, they used to sit on his head, and he will take out one biscuit and feed them. And they will come in turns. So very interesting people are there out. This again. I really like this image because, again, it's a Worldly Sea Face. How do you look at the life differently? And I dropped my camera into the dustbin, which is in the circular. If you see on the Worldly Sea Face, there is a circular dustbin. And I just saw these 4 different lives through those holes. And they are in their own world in that sense. They're in their own spaces. And if you look out from the outside, it is on a Worldly Sea Face. But from the dustbin, it was different worlds. This is again, lovely story of 15 days versus 92-year-old woman holding a baby. There's this girl who's got lots of cats. She works with us. So I took her portrait. Yeah. Again, it's one of the assignments I was on, and I just looked at this girl running. I was standing and I got the shot. He's scratching his back, but it looks like he's asking for a lift. So I thought it becomes an interesting picture. Again, the girl works at our office. She was sitting and having coffee, and I took her picture in the rain. Been there, done that again. So there's a beautiful stories in the pictures. That's what I learned from, again, advertising. The one lesson that I learned from Sopan is a thing, patience. You need to be patient when you're shooting. And there are this, I was shooting, doing a Reiki for some assignments, and is this production guy was sitting in the car, and I was looking at him. I saw a beautiful reflection. I could see his half face. I thought it will make a great picture. And suddenly I saw this guy walking by, and he raised his hand. That created a forehead for me. And reflexes, as Sopan said, you need to be ready. And fortunately, I got this shot where his eye perfectly came in the, where his eye, face came where his eye was, and hand became forehead. Again, I was trying to explain this in college, you know, if you have patience and if you see the image, then you should chase it. And this image, the top image is also good. A lot of people said top image is much better than the lower image. But I had that idea that I will shoot, I'll create a frame within a frame within a frame. And I chased that dog and got this shot somehow. Again, patience. What Sopan used to, I remember Sopan used to wait for the crows or birds to fly. And people used to accuse us that time, you know, you always put it on Photoshop. But we used to wait. And to demonstrate, I waited for the guy to come exactly on the crow and shot. Again, this is the situation I've seen, and I kept waiting for the crow to fly. And because I'm a visualizer, so I can think of ideas on the spot. So I saw this will become interesting if the bird flies. And I kept waiting till the bird flew. Again, waiting gives you a very interesting picture. So you just have to observe, wait, and take the shot is what I learned thanks to Sopan. Again, the same thing here. When this kid was playing with the cracker gun, and the moment he made noise, the ship jumped, and I was ready. Lucky enough to get the shot right. Again, waiting helps. You know, I saw this beautiful composition happening. The guy was sleeping there. The couple was doing kuchikui, and people are walking early in the morning. So I took this shot, and I said, this guy will come back. So I waited for him, and the next shot was this. So he went there, and he came back. So I thought it will become, the patience actually pays off, and you can create interesting stories if you wait. Again, I saw this beautiful reflection happening in the monsoon. There was a semicircular cloud on top. The reflection was semicircular down. And I saw the people walking slowly towards in front of me. So I waited for them to come exactly in the center and took the shot. I mean, I'm just making a point that I'm not saying this is a great shot, but I'm saying, you know, if you just wait, if you have patience, you may get something interesting. Another lesson that I've learned is you need to surprise people. And that's what we always do in advertising. If you do the regular stuff, nobody looks at you. So you need to wear pink trouser once in a while to shock the people or stand out. So, I mean, sometimes images shock you. I was shooting for this same commercial that you saw for the Pepsi. This bull was standing and he became again, we got lucky that her face was covered. It's beautiful. Horse jumped because crow was pecking him at the back. The crow was sitting on the horse itself was a great picture. And I have that image, you know, the crow riding the horse. but after pecking, he just jumped on his hindsight and his tail flew and all. So I was lucky, I was ready, and I took the shot. I saw this beautiful, again, image where the girl was playing. So the girl empowerment came so beautiful here. So I went behind this guy. As he released the ball, I took his shot. So these surprises in life kind of may give you a very interesting image. And I was shooting for Kashmir, and football, kids playing, and these guys were patrolling and helping us to make sure that we don't get into trouble. Suddenly ball went to him and he started playing. And this for me became a nice peaceful image, because there's a machine gun in his hand and he's playing football. Again, this is a very surprising element. I mean, Shiva and Parvati, if you know, Kali, if you know the story, you will like it. Again, this bull was tied and he entangled himself so much it looked like he's dead. When dead head is hung, but he's actually alive, and this guy was just watching him. Yeah, so there will be surprises and you will see around, and you should definitely capture that, is what I learned in advertising. Another lesson, we always say in advertising, you should think 360. You should never think only press, outdoor. You should try and paint the building, try to paint the rooftop so that people can see it from the plane. So the life should not be only newspaper. So, and it's true in photography. There is a 360-degree angle. So which one is the right angle? Where do I put myself in? How do I shoot this? Can I go on top? Can I go down? Can I take low angle? So that always, works on my mind. And to get the stories across, you need to position yourself in such a way that, so I saw this crow and I saw that cloud, but once I come, really square to him, I saw there's a small cloud and then there's a big cloud. So it became a thinking crow as a picture. Taking reflections so there's always a way of doing things differently. This is a top angle shot. So you don't need to, you may get surprising images if you just change your perspective and change your angle. This is a Dayandi, because I wanted to shoot this Dayandi shot in the reflection. And the people were walking around me and I was sitting down and it was raining. Before I could click, the pyramid fell down and the guy was hanging on top. Thankfully, these guys, they use harness these days. Otherwise, that guy would have been dead, because this is the surface that we were in. Yeah. Again, different angles I kept the camera, shot it remotely from my phone. And these, in Australia, these birds are not afraid of you. They just come really close and they just walk. But this is like a good march that they were doing in front of me. So just keeping it next to them and use wide angle and shoot is what we got. The another lesson that I learned again from Sopan is editing. Editing doesn't necessarily mean you edit in the dark room or on a computer. You should edit within the camera. So thanks to Sopan, I've taken these lessons very seriously, and edit we do. Advertising, we constantly editing, but doing the edit in the camera, it's a great fun, and you feel so nice once you've done it. So this is again, the boy was doing somersault. If I'd taken this ground where he was doing somersault, I would have lost that quality of image. Right now he's floating with the bird, makes the very same thing here, where there was another pigeon stand, again similar structure, casting a shadow below this guy. If I'd taken that pigeon, this doesn't make any sense. But once you crop it, so you'll have to use your legs as a tripod, was he said yesterday, and that's so true. You have to go close and get the shots. This is again a shot where there's a long, huge trees were there, and this Jhula was hung to that. But to avoid those trees, I used to run behind him to take this shot, so it should look like the Jhula was tight in the sky, just to create, surreal, unrealistic image. And that's what I enjoyed. Thanks, Swapan, for providing me that insight. The last lesson that I want to share with you is the social. We always do a lot of social advertising work, and a friend of mine said, we are doing a story on the survivors of Bombay blast and attack, what happened in Bombay 26/11. And the survivors, I was supposed to take pictures. So I went to their houses, I heard their stories, and I worked like a journalist because they used to give me 15 to 20 minutes of their time to take the picture. And the moment they are free, I used to run from office, take my bag, camera, and go shoot and come back. And I've done some stories like this. We did an exhibition in the middle. Here are some pictures out of that. There's this woman who's got a bullet in her spine at VT station. And they cannot remove that bullet because if we remove the bullet, doctor said she will be paralyzed forever. So the bullet is still there in her body and she's surviving. We sold a lot of images and the money went to that charity which helps these people. This is the guy who the bullet whizzed past through his ear, and he sells some glass stuff like mirrors and things like that. So I intentionally took his portrait in the mirror and in the glass. This is the guy who caught Kasab, one of the inspectors, and I took him to the spot and he showed me how they went, and he told me his whole story of how they chased this guy and how Ubade got killed and how eventually we grabbed him and how he killed those two people around him. This is a Leopold Cafe where these are the two owners, and they said this terrorist came in the cab. So I put the logo, juxtaposed it in such a way that they wanted to actually get rid of Leopold eventually. But they survived, and that's what their portrait is. This is the guy who saved thousands of people's life at VT station. He was an announcer, and he announced that they don't enter the station because there is a firing happening, and lots of people didn't enter. And he saved a lot of people's life. This guy cannot go to the station again. He doesn't go to VT, so they placed him in Vidar or Vashi somewhere, and he does the desk job. I asked him to come to the railway platform. He refused in the beginning. Then I asked him, please come because I need to make the story. And he came, suddenly a dog came and sat next to him, and he started. He must be a great guy. I mean, that's what. And then this train came and I took the shot. Again, this is the same guy. He got a bullet at a VT station in his hand. So if you see his hand, it's a well swollen. And when he was there, I saw these 3 birds floating around him. And I thought, and his face was such a peaceful face. I thought this is the picture for representing what he stands for. He survived, but it's peaceful now. This is the ad campaign I did for JWT for rain. Again, they wanted to show, okay, if you use rain, you save water, some logic. So I said, okay, why can't we shoot like this, and got entire village together and took this shot. And it became quite popular. I was shooting for Cry and in Hyderabad, and we went to school, and there was only one room for the school. The rest of the class used to sit outside, and it's like 44 degrees. It was blistering hot, and these kids were sitting in small shadows of the tree. I mean, the tree is also dead. So I went up towards the tree and took this shot to demonstrate there are no schools, so please help. So I posted this picture on Instagram and lots of people liked it. And suddenly I got a call from minister saying, pull that picture down because it's not true. There's no such thing in Hyderabad. Which I, politely said, I can't remove that because it's already up there. But I'm saying this was a reality, and this, I hope the cry must have helped some people there. Again, in social, you look at the life and there is not a single tree here. You just see satellites and you just see buildings. I don't know how they survive, how people survive here. And this is what we are doing it to the cities. Again, Nirbhaya time, we took this shot. There was a film poster, and yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Prashant. Okay, we are muting the panelist. So if you would want to.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prashant, for sharing this amazing life of yours. Like I mentioned to you last time, we've been a very lucky co-passenger on this journey, both you and I. And it's amazing to see this process from where it's begun, where it's taken you, where it's still taking you. It's obviously very emotional for me, so maybe the words don't come out right. But there are going to be obvious questions asked to you here, and I'm taking the first one. I'm sorry, I didn't even ask for permission. I just had to go. It's something that maybe a little premature to ask now, but I think let it be the first question because it's been playing in my head after seeing everything. Successful creative director, ad agency owner, illustrator, ad filmmaker, and now the photographer. Many personas rolled into one, but just tell me, I'm very curious. When Prashant Godbole puts his head on his pillow at night, which Prashant does he have a heart-to-heart conversation with?
You know what Arun Kolatkar said to me, the first question, what is the half of 13? I think that's what it is. If you come up with the ideas, whether it is a photographic idea or advertising idea or a sculpture idea or illustration idea, if you get that idea, I'll rather be a creative guy who will keep creating different new things is what I'll be happy to die as, or I'll be happy dreaming about that, because ideas makes the pictures, ideas makes the advertising campaigns, ideas makes the movies. Ideas is what everything else, and the rest is all execution. How good you become at execution, how good you become at craft is a you need equally good talent, but the guy who can come up with the brilliant ideas, brilliant concepts is what can that concept shape the market? Can we come up with iPhone? Can we come up with, that's what will make you, can we get the COVID, solve the COVID problem? Those are the ideas is what I like to remember as. I want to do that. Once you know the basic technique about art, you can, if you know something, you can literally do anything. You can be a great painter, because if you have that concept in you, then if you decide you can, and if you spend enough time, like you said, on craft, polishing it, you can be a half decent at any space. But वो recipe बनाने वाला होता है ना, original, उसकी मजा कुछ अलग है. So that's what I want to be, rather than anything else.
But don't ideas sometimes become roadblocks for spontaneity?
It does. But if you constantly think about something, the spontaneity takes over. After doing riyaz for 300 hours or 18 hours a day for 40 years, the singer or the musician or the creator will find something. Again, Raghuram was saying the same thing that day. You will eventually hit upon something, and that's the process. And you may get lucky to get that insight or get that something beautifully different thing in front of you. And that's the search. I mean, that's the constant search, and that's why I said I'm a student rather than a master or creator. I'll rather be a student and continue to be a student forever.
That's modest, Mr. Prashant Godbole.
No, not true. It's the truth.
Thank you.
I believe Kunal Vijaykar, you had something to ask.
Yeah, no, I wanted to ask you who gave you the half of 13 problem in Prabhadevi?
Arun Kolatkar.
The poet. Arun Kolatkar was poet. No.
Yeah. But he was a art director.
He was art director as well. Okay.
Yeah. He started his career as an art director. Okay. Then people used to laugh at him because he couldn't speak 2 words of English properly.
Okay.
That's his agency. Then he taken a sabbatical in his life and decided he will learn English. And then not only learn English, but he will write poetry. So that's what he is. Yeah, it's a very interesting life.
Okay, if while the other panelists would want to add, we'll just take a few questions. Okay, Tarun has raised his hand.
Yeah, okay. So, of course, we've been seeing your work for many years and, absolutely mesmerized by that. I want to say a few things and ask you a few things I've written. I'll need some time. So first of all, I want to tell you that, there are many people. This is what I hear every time when any agency calls me for any work. And this is the first thing they say. We want to do a very different campaign. We don't want to do something which is already done. And that's such a cliched line. And you make it so absolutely correct when you're saying that you want to do things differently. You've actually lived it. I have not seen many people doing this. Like they say it out, वो खाल की ज़माना उठा के पटकने में कोई टाइम नहीं लगता उसको, लेकिन उसको execute करते टाइम थोड़ी देर में घूम फिर के वो client ये बोल रहा है, वो उनका audience ये है, वो ये खाते हैं, वो ये पहनते हैं, इसलिए हमें ऐसे ही करना पड़ेगा और घूम फिर के वो different से लेके वापस ज़मीन चाटने लगता है. But your campaigns, the way you've shown it, is so beautiful and you've done things so differently and so well researched. I really wanted to ask you, in fact, about that Hamara Bajaj. It has such a nostalgic feeling that when I hear the tune, and I know that it's Hamara Bajaj, वो start होते ही आज भी याद आ जाता है. वो इतने साल पहले चला था कैंपेन और आज भी मुझे याद आ जाता है कि ये वही गाना है. और आपने बजाज को इंडिया और इंडिया को बजाज बना दिया था. It was such a powerful thing. It was not a small thing to do.
I'll tell you, the germ of our ideas was Kersis. I mean, the Kersi said we should make, and Bajaj market share was going down in those days. The bikes were in, scooters were going out of style. And that time the brief was to rebuild the confidence in people that Bajaj is the scooter and Bajaj is their life.
Yeah.
So Kersi's idea was to do the, Alec was also involved in that discussion. We should own India. We should have, and Jaikrat Rawat written such beautiful words. Shumandro shot this. Louis Bang did the music. So in advertising, it's not one person's job. It's you, as you know it. Everybody contributes and everybody adds to the Barunda, who was a cinematographer, did the music actually, the tune. So Louis Banks gets the credit, but the guy who created the music was Barunda. This is the Rag Jai Jayavanti. He composed it while drinking in the evening or chatting in the evening on the piano. So the thing is, and our job was very simple in those days: go out on the road and see what people do, and observe, and
of course
convert those into visuals.
Of course.
and not only me, I mean, even a squad boy says, this can be an interesting image and you should be happy to take it, because if he's adding a great image, then you should just own it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not me alone. Let me just be very clear. It's just lots of people who puts in their heads to make it something beautiful.
No, I understand. It's you create a team which is like-minded, which believes in the project, and that's a fantastic thing. एक दो बात और मैं आपसे पूछना चाह रहा था, that also you said something about wait for the shot, which is such a beautiful thing to do, and you allow things to happen. And this is what I was talking about yesterday. You can't just go and get the shot and come back. There's no such thing as instant. You go there, you wait for things to happen, you allow things to happen, and that is when things work out for you. एक आपकी जो pest control वाली film है, that karma pest control thing. Now, is just curious to know whether it's the real thing that they do, or it's a spoof, or it's a because living in India, it's quite possible that there are people doing this also.
No, so the Big Rock, if you see, I mean, Savitri Bai, which is again a same client.
Yeah.
We've done about 30 films like this. Everything is spoof. We recreated a businesses in our own head.
Okay.
The idea was, if that guy can have a business, you can.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy can have a website, you can have website.
Yeah.
And websites, he was actually giving it in $99. I mean, do it yourself. If you just register on domain, and you can upload your pictures, and your website is ready.
Yeah.
So the whole idea was the whole India should have a website.
Yeah.
And India, it's India.
Yeah.
All sorts of people, all sorts of businesses. So we said we will create a fictitious businesses.
Okay.
This is like a Savitri Bai or
but beautiful. It's beautiful.
When you should. I mean, there are like, I don't have time, but there are like 30 films you've done. And this guy is such a smart guy. He sold his company in $147 billion.
Okay.
And his budget was nothing. I mean, 2 crore is what he spent on advertising. But it viraled so much that a lot of people know about it.
Yeah.
I have something, please. Bowman here.
Hi, Bowman.
Yeah, Bowman.
Hey. So I'm going to add to what Tarun just said, and it's saying that the most cliche thing to say that I want this campaign to be completely different. We want it to be different. In Hollywood, they say we want it same but different. You want it same, but you want it different. But my point in all of this is that you might come up with the creatives, and then you get the photographer, and you get the whole thing going, and all that is fine. And then the client will turn and say, "Lekin hamara target audience alag hai." Now, but what you've done is it's up to you, but it's also up to convincing the client. It's got to convince the client. Now, 2 things: you've got to have the courage, and 2, you have to be so convinced about your creative endeavor and the people who put it in. What is it? And I think it's a lovely thing to share with young people, that they might have these fantastic ideas, koi karta nahi yaar, and they give up hope. What is it that you go and tell the client and say, let's do it, buddy? Because that is part of the advertising challenge. Come up with the creativity, fine, but you've got to go and convince that man who's putting the money on the table and paying for it all. What do you say? How is it that you sell it?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
one small thing I wanted to add here is that we are watching this thing in cinema so much. Different kind of cinema is coming, but advertising is just going down the drain. I just don't understand why.
The endorsement. Advertising has become endorsement.
Yeah, it's not happening in advertising. It's happening in cinema a lot.
No, so good thing what used to happen in the past, and now what is happening, what Bhavan is saying is right. In the past, people used to respect. If you are going to professional, it's like doctor. Yeah, you go to the doctor, you listen to the doctor. You don't say, give me this medication. I mean, that's not happening these days. But in olden days, people used to go to the doctor and say, okay, I have problem, solve my problem. So client used to come and say, okay, this is my problem. Like Bajaj in those days said, this is my problem. My scooter sales are not happening. Bikes are coming in. International bikes are coming in. Bike is much more sexier, looks good. women fall in love. The guy who's riding bike, scooter looks like a father's vehicle.
Yeah.
So in past they used to trust and they used to put the challenge, and there was a threat: if you don't deliver, we will sack you. And people in those days used to take that challenge, saying, okay, I will create something which is going to work for you. That is the conviction you need to have. And when we started Zarwan, you know him, and so in the beginning we had that conviction, saying, you don't pay us if you don't like it. Run it. If it works, pay us. And that's the kind of conviction we have in our work. As you grow, a lot of people, you need to look after salaries, and you start what Raghurai said, humne bhi papad vele hai. So papad belna padta hai kabhi kabhi. But if you have that pure conviction, and if you go saying, I'm putting my neck on the line and it's going to work, it always works, because that kind of confidence only guy can say when he's really thinks it's going to change. And it works. It works even today if you push yourself to the client. And sometimes clients are good. They just allow you to do good stuff. So we tend to get attracted more towards such clients. And you also should need to have, like Sopan used to say, I don't want to do this campaign in those days, because he didn't like the campaign. He didn't believe in those pictures. He thought people are going to do the cut paste on his pictures and ruin his image. So he never took those assignments. It's exactly like this. You can decide what you want to take as a client or you don't want to take as a client. And do you really want his money or do you want to make your name? I mean, that's what you need to decide. And once you crack one, it becomes your reputation, then people will come to you for that kind of stuff.
Prashant, I think it's important to add here, because there may be some impressionable minds over here, whom I think basically this is for, is that they need to know that you are the top of your game in terms of the industry success. You and Zarwan were the poster boys of a super advertising team, and you were sought after. But it was at that time when you were at the top of your game, you gave up everything, and maza nahi aa raha tha, as I remember those words, and then you started and floated your own agency called Ideas at Work. People need to know that here is somebody who gave up everything from a very cushy job and went into something which was extremely, I would say risky, because I think 9 out of 10 agencies may have flopped at that time. And I remember your words, you just said that I'm doing this because something you were saying, it's troubling me, maza nahi aa raha hai, we're not getting the freedom. So for all those people who ask, how do you do something? That's the answer. You were at the top of you threw away something when you were at the top of your game, and you took chances, and you did something in the same industry because you had the kida to continue to do something, and you became the client there. And that's something that people should know, that, complacency, the opposite of that is what you just showed us.
I mean, that's what just happened.
Just taking it forward about this Bajaj thing, in fact, when the ad used to come, I used to wonder, why is Bajaj even advertising,
Fauzan, you didn't let him answer that. He was actually going to, he was about to respond to that, the last thing.
No, it's okay.
It's okay, go ahead.
No. I thought you're just making a comment.
No, about the thing that he's now running an agency, that thing he was about to elaborate. I thought people should know. Go ahead, anyhow.
No, go ahead, Will. I'll come to that. Sir, go ahead, sir. Fauzan, sir.
No, please. I thought it's just a comment.
So the idea was that we had a cushy life. We had some 50 people team working under us, very talented people. They were doing the stuff. We were having party and things like that. We got complacent, and we started looking at the work. It was compromised. It was not up to the mark. So we decided that we should take a leap and get what we like to do. If we start, we'll have much more time to learn lots of other things rather than just advertising. And it was not that we wanted to make a huge agency or very successful. We'll just do good work, and that's what we'll do. That's how it started.
Okay, can I?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to take this Bajaj thing forward. And I remember ad used to come, I used to wonder why is Bajaj even advertising? Because when I had gone to book Bajaj, it was an 8-year wait listing.
True.
And, I had given a check of 2,600 if I'm not mistaken, and they told me to come back after 8 years. Okay, now just taking this Bajaj thing forward. After this campaign came in, did the sales really picked up?
Yeah.
Was there a feedback from the company?
And this advertising afterwards for 15 years. They didn't change it. I mean, there's no copyright in those days. So once you created the it's open. So but it did really work for them, because what it did was it became like a national anthem. It became like bringing India together. It became much more than what it is. What it was not, it didn't stay as an ad. It stayed as some pride of our own brands. The influx of international brands started coming in. The pride of ownership, the pride of belonging become much more stronger. That was not the intention. Intention was to get the, stop the bike sales and push the scooter sales. But it did became, because it was such a simple imagery, a beautiful word by Jaikrit, it's a beautiful composition. Everything came together. It's just lucky.
But later on, they did a bike shot also, film also, like that, which had the same DNA.
Because then they continued that campaign. And today also, if I'm not mistaken, they'll bring it back. I mean, it had a longer lasting idea in it.
Yeah, no, it was timeless. And you were right that it became like a national anthem only.
Correct.
Yeah.
May I ask a question, Prashant?
Yes, Kunal.
You're essentially an advertising man, and advertising, as you explained just now also, is a collaborative effort, Say Bajaj, you've got your music director, filmmaker, writer, bosses, KFC. Whereas photography is a very single, one person and his camera kind of art. Do you find, do you miss the sort of brainstorming or ideation that happens with, say, two people, art director, writer, copywriter team, or, how does it work for you in your head? Photography versus advertising, being a one person vis-a-vis a collaborative effort.
Even in advertising, it's one guy who comes up with the idea.
Okay.
And rest of the guys make that idea beautiful or better.
Okay.
So they're adding layers to the same idea, trying to polish it as much as possible, because it's a collaborative. It's like a film.
Correct.
Somebody will have a germ of a script idea, then there will be a screenplay rise, there will be a producer, there will be actors. They're all chipping in to make it better and better and better. And as they say, it's a teamwork at the end of the day, because one guy gets an idea, a germ of an idea, and then it gets polished to a level that it. So in photography, it's a like you said, it's a single person's vision and how he looks at the life, and that's why I made this topic intentionally advertising and street, because I mean in advertising it's a collaborative efforts of lots of people. At the end of the day, you become a part of that entire credit list. In photography, it's your own. You can say I've taken this shot and I own this. It's like a painting. You paint something and the painting becomes yours. And when you sell it, it becomes somebody else's. It's yours. And that's the difference actually. Yeah.
Which do you prefer?
I prefer both. That gives me bread and butter. Yeah, this is hobby. This is a passion, love.
Butter chicken.
Thank you, Prashant. We'll just move on to a few participant questions. There's a question from Amish Jain. Amish, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah.
Hi, Prashant sir. Hello.
Yeah. Tell me, Amish.
I wanted to ask this question to you and Swapan sir about creating reality. Like the campaigns are planned and you sketch them out. Do you leave space for something that can happen instinctively on set? And does space for spontaneity is necessity? Like I will quote an example: the shot of Sapan sir with boys in desert. One was upside down, jumping, and another one was laughing. Did you plan that out or saw that on location and planned it out next?
Go for it, Sopan.
So that one I'm not too sure. We were shooting together. I think it was a campaign for Enterprise.
Yeah, it was.
So the thing is, Amish, when you say sketch, the sketch is to, like I told you, for me, it was when you're bringing in journalism and that kind of planned reality is to give it the sense of spontaneity. Now, today you're questioning this means the spontaneity worked. You feel it's spontaneous. You're not sure if it's created, but it was created, right? So that was the thing when I talked about manufactured reality. So specific to that, definitely spontaneity, that means has succeeded in that picture. And to answer it a little more elaborately, it's like spontaneity should always be the ingredient, because if a picture is too perfect, it gets boring. Like I said, you should not be able to the author should not be able to go back and create his own picture in the same way and in the same feeling. If you can do that, it gets very boring. So I think you should look for just defining the brackets of something and then play within that space, but be alive within that space and run around. If you're just going to just define it with the brackets and everything else is inside is absolutely structured, it's going to get very boring for the viewer to look at. So I think, yes, spontaneity is very important, and just define the broad brackets in which you're trying to convey that idea for that ad. Over to you, Prashant.
I mean, absolutely right, Sopan. Even if you put a simple person portrait, if you have to take a portrait in against sky or on the sea face, it has to work as a spontaneous picture. So you have to give enough space. It's up to you when you are going to take the photograph. So till that time you are not happy with the spontaneity, you should not click, you should not trigger. So spontaneity is very important. In advertising, we do a rough plan. Okay, we'll go on a beach, we'll keep the model on on a rock, and we'll ask her to look at the sunset. Now, if 3,000 birds comes into the frame and you see a large sun against her head, you have to position yourself and you need to get that spontaneity on the spot. And that's what makes it interesting, rather than just taking a girl onto the, you know what I'm saying?
Picture should be commas, not full stops.
I think it's in any art form, when we are acting, there are times that somebody might just forget a line.
Yeah.
Improvisation, yes.
And you just jump onto that person and you might get something so fresh out of it. Jump on the stage, say, why are you quiet? And you'll get a moment that it could never be written, it could never be directed.
Yes, absolutely true.
Yeah. It's so true.
Okay, I'll just move on to the next question. It's by Shushant Kotecha. If we can have Shushant. Shushant, can you hear us? Shushant?
Shushant.
Yes.
Yeah. Shushant, can you ask a question to Prashant, sir?
Do you believe that one can learn to observe if it doesn't come to one naturally? And if yes, then how?
Keep your eyes open. Sorry. What you need to do is, that's what I try to see, what is observation? You are looking at things, and what is your point of view on that thing? That is observation. It's not just looking at a car. If I just look at the car, then it looks like a car. But what is that you've seen? What is your feeling when you looked at the car? What is your expression after looking at the car? It becomes important. And that is observation. It's like your point of view towards looking at something. What is your point of view? If you look at the mandir, what does it feel? If you look at the stone, what does it feel? If you look at the tree, what does it feel? And what is your point of view on that tree is what is the observation.
Prashant, we also have an interesting question from Deepak Kumar, if you're there, Deepak.
Deepak Kumar. Okay, I know him.
Hello, sir.
No.
Sir, question is that why you choose street photography instead of while working as a art director in advertising field? Then why are you choose the street photography specially?
There are 2-3 people influencing in my life. I did a campaign for Times of India, and Raghurai sir was shooting the campaign for Calcutta. It's an interesting story. You must listen to this. Times Kolkata was being launched, and Mohammed told me, "You go. You don't need to do anything. You just ask him to take photograph and just roam around with him, and don't open your mouth. Let him shoot. We need to show newspaper somewhere. Somebody's holding it. Somebody's reading it. Whatever he wants to do." So I landed up in Calcutta. I don't know Raghurai. So first time I met him and he started working. So he said, "Okay, you're the guy." He looked at me because I was 20 that time. So I said, "Okay, so you said get up every day at 4 o'clock. You will come with me. We will roam around Calcutta and we'll take pictures." So I said, "Okay." And it was like a 15-day hotel was booked for us. We roamed around. So every day at 4 o'clock, I used to go with him, and he had 3 cameras on his. One that the panoramic camera, one negative, and one transparency. In those days, there was no digital. And I'm not joking. In a day, he must be finishing 50 rolls or something. So you just cut. He was going like that. So I kept observing what he's taking. What kind of pictures he's taking. So he was taking, any odd things. Somebody is walking on the street. In those days, I was not photographer. It was not my cup of tea. I didn't. Then I used to generally talk with him. Why do you shoot? I said, "नहीं यार, मुझे अच्छा लगता है. ये देख, तुम्हें बोल रहा हूँ, ये जो लड़की है ना, देख ऐसी दिखेगी." So he used to, and his observation was so much. And he said, "देख ऐसा पल्लू घुमाएगी. देख वो क्या कर रही." So his running commentary was such an interesting thing for me that I enjoyed it. He suddenly used to stop the car. He used to run. And there was a truck loaded with gunny sacks. The birds were pecking on top, and the beggars were picking the grains because the birds have poked the holes into the gunny sacks, and the grains were falling down. And the beggars नीचे से उठा रहा है, ऊपर से bird खा रहा है. Like ऊपर से लूट रहा है, नीचे से लूट रहा है. These are the kind of shots you get. And then I realized that is what he's looking at. He's looking at those beautiful stories where the birds are taking free food and the beggars are taking free food. And it's such a great picture, I thought. And then I started seeing what he's shooting. And I said, this is a fantastic way of looking at life and observing. And that's why in Bajaj, you see this Parchi guys doing ha-ha to the bike. The love of cleaning is what depicted, the guy combing hair. So that observation of looking at life, what is passing by, it became interesting. And another man is Sopan. I work very closely. So the tremendous influence of these 2 people, which I love. And then Sopan has introduced me to a lot of great photographers. So I started looking at their stuff, whether it's a Salgado, whether it's a Magnum photographer, whether it's a Eggleston. So that has influenced the entire thinking, the way people look, the way people see, the way people shoot. And I said, it became obvious that this should become my passion because I started looking at it very closely.
Thank you. Thanks, Prashant. Since there's been such a mention of you and Sopan, I'll get Hardeep to ask a question.
I've been 20-30 campaigns with him.
Yeah. Hardeep, can you ask a question?
Yeah.
Yes,
hello, sir. It was great listening to your talk and looking at your work. So I had this question that since you and Swapan sir have worked closely for a long time and you are friends as well. So So I've noticed that it's a tricky thing to work with friends, because sometimes what happens is when you are working and you are too critical of each other's work, so it might affect your friendship. But then on the other hand, if you are not critical about each other's work, then it might affect the work. So how do you maintain a balance so that you produce good work, but also the friendship remains intact?
No, so for me it was very simple. I was not photographing; he was. So I'm art director. He was. Uh, our thing was very simple. I set out the expectation that this is what we want to communicate, and you should not go beyond this because that's advertising need. How to execute, I never dabbled in his life. That's a one thing lesson that everybody should. Any artist, if you want to do some great work with that artist, you give him expectation. You give him line to say it. You ask him to photograph. This is what is expected, and give him freedom to do what he can do the best rather than telling him how to do it. So I've applied that principle across my board, whether I'm dealing with actors, whether I'm dealing with music directors, whether I'm dealing with photographers, whether I'm dealing with illustrators. You give him set parameters. This is what I'm looking for. This is the kind of building I want. You don't tell interior or architect how to build the building. You should give them space to create. What kind of building you're looking for, what kind of images you have in mind, you can tell, but you cannot ask them to do what they are good at. So it's pet. So we had a great friendship. We had a great respect for each other. I told him this. We never had we had bit of difference of opinion, but we always tried two things. Sometimes he said, what you said was right. That actually worked. And sometimes I said, no, what you done was right. I was wrong. So it's always nice to have that, your point of view, put it on table, but you should always give a space to the artist to perform and do his best rather than telling him what exactly needed.
And to add, I think you used the magic word. The magic word Hardeep he used was mutual respect, or words. Prashant to me was a safety net. When I saw Prashant, I felt safe. That was the first line that came out of Prashant. Even today, when I look at him, you see his face, it's so safe. You'll never feel threatened by that face. And for me, I think he was always there at the back, next to there would be, the sun is out, the shadow would be there, next would be Prashant next to me. So he was there saying, okay, go for it, do it. So that respect came first. And from respect, I think the necessary offshoot of respect is friendship. And that friendship, I think, is what has continued. Like he said, ups and downs, lateral movements, there may be, but I think one of the few people who would tell me jump off a building, and probably would. And, I think it's just because of that beautiful safety net around me. It was him, and it was my only assistant or comrade that ever worked with me. Is a guy called Shashank Lavate. And these two lovely Maharashtrians were surrounding me, and they were my safety nets, and friends too. I think because that like friendship was definitely, and friendship is defined by not just by sitting and having a drink together, because a drink is always better if you produce something that day also. Otherwise, you could just be getting drunk together, and that somehow didn't always work for me. But I think he always made sure I was comfortable, and I think mutually, I was quite volatile when I was shooting, but he would always be that calming influence in my life. And I think that's how I think we produce the best work. And like Prashant said, that he just left me to do what I had to do. And I also, when Prashant came up with an idea, I listened. And I think somewhere, I think that khichdi that came out of that was by and large tasty.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Swapan and Prashant. We'll have Devansh. Devansh, are you there?
Hi. Can you hear me, sir? Yeah. Sir, great work. I've just written down a question based on an observation. that in the creative and the advertising field experience, some of the best visualizers, directors, and photographers like yourself have somehow come out from a field having some background with advertising or creative direction. So, what is it about the entire experience in advertising space, or what is it that helps or equips a slightly more evolved photographer coming out or a more evolved director coming out, like someone like a Shujit Sarkar or someone, everyone having some kind of roots in an advertising world? Is it the deadlines, or is it the what is it which equips?
Okay.
Bank balance.
No, I mean, that is true. I mean, some of the best minds in the film industry. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll kind of mute it.
Hello. Somebody's angry with us, so what?
Yeah. Okay, over to you.
Okay. No, so that is true. Some of the best minds have worked in advertising for some strange reason. I mean, Prashant Doshi has come from there. I mean, he's doing great stuff. Satyajit Ray was in advertising, and Sham Benegal used to be a film director. Boman, I mean, he was related to advertising. Kunal is now he's become a great foodie. So I mean, yeah, there is a constant pressure of producing good work because there's a lot of money involved. People want results at the end of the day, and unless you're studying hard, unless you're working hard, unless you're thorough in your thinking, you will not achieve greatness in any field. And it looks like advertising produces such people who are, reliable, who will who will deliver, who will committed, who loves craft. It looks like that, and yeah, they're transferring themselves to film industry.
Thank you.
Celebration of the deadline.
Deadline, yeah. I mean, if somebody says, I want it tomorrow and I want the best till tomorrow, you have to do. I mean, I'll tell you the story. I was doing Airtel film and we went to A.R. Rahman to do the music for Airtel. And we finished the film in 4 days and we showed him the film. I said, will you be interested in doing this film? So he said, I love it. I'll do it. So this marketing guy said, can we have it next week, sir? So he said, I can do it today. Why next week? But it will be very bad. If you want really good music, wait for 3 months. And he gave in the music after 3 months. And client waited. He said, if you want something good to happen, you have to give in that much time. Khichdi pakne ke liye jitna time lagta hai, utna dena hi padta hai. So you have to also know how to buy time when there is a pressure.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, and also, sir, also in your case, do you feel that since you work with a 30-second medium or a 1-minute medium, for you it makes a bit more sense that you have to communicate a lot in a single frame? So that entire experience of yours of communicating through a longer duration has translated that into the single image or the single frame?
No, everything has its own importance. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the feature film, or there's nothing wrong because in feature film you have enough time to tell a story and go into much more detail and look at life with much more passion. In advertising, you are doing it to the point because I'm trying to communicate something. At the end of the day, I'm telling somebody to buy a product or buy my service or buy something. So it's very defined. In movies, you're talking about characters, you're talking about stories, you're talking about multiple stories, you're talking about backstories, you're talking all sorts of things, and that's very interesting. So it has its own ups and downs, positives and negatives.
Okay, we have the next question by Ritesh Rastogi. Ritesh, are you there?
Yeah, good evening. Good evening, sir. How are you? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Sir, my question is looking at all those ads, what you have created till now, like they're beautiful, very creative, and a lot of photography aspects were there. So now looking at the ads today, whatever ads we are seeing in the movies or the on the TVs, you know, the creativity is missing in those ads. So is it a worrisome thing or is it okay?
It's worrisome. It is worrisome.
So what shall we do? Yeah.
Becoming transactional. People want to sell faster. Nobody wants to invest in a brand. If you see all the ads, Bajaj never said buy scooter. If you look at that ad, Airtel never said buy phone or buy my service. We're in those days, or even today, if the guys who understood that people buy into the brand and not necessarily into the product, if he gets convinced, he will do good advertising. Today, Fevicol doesn't say buy Fevicol. You see such a beautiful ads on Fevicol, or you never sell the brand. What you're selling is a service, or what you're selling is a concept of a brand. So people have become more transactional. They want to do a sell tomorrow. If I do ad, they expect a result tomorrow. And for that, you're asking them to do very transactional work rather than a brand building work. Brand building work requires time. It's like understanding the craft of anything, any art form. So I mean, that's what is missing. The marketing people have gone, which used to take risk and which used to take time, which used to give time and money to brand building, which is not happening. And that's why you see transactional, buy this, get one free, or mostly it's a celebrity-led advertising, which looks fake completely because nobody trusts them. I mean, sorry, Bhavan, but yeah, that's the truth. I mean, people, they think it's a quick way of connecting with the people, with the masses, because they all love these big brands, big names, and association with the big names will give them sale. Is the belief.
Prashant, isn't that
Thank you so much, sir.
Prashant and Ritesh, hang on. I mean, just isn't that the way photography is also being practiced nowadays? What you said was not just about advertising, but it's, I would say it can extend to the way photography, with all due respect to every practitioner today, it's more.
I mean, in those days,
it's more about.
When we are creating ad, we used to come up with the sketch. Why do you do sketch? Because it's there in your head. We used to come up with the original ideas, how to come up with the original photograph or original concept idea. Today, you buy a photograph from Getty, which is ready-made. Why should I pay photographers? So that is what is happening in advertising. Advertising photography has gone down thanks to the stock libraries.
My point was more about the personal, the practice by the photographer.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's I mean, 20,000 followers, that's quantity versus maybe 20 followers that are offering you quality. If you give this equation to somebody, probably they'll still today choose the 20,000 followers because your dikta hai wo bikta. It's become that, and the way the photography is being practiced, which I think as an impressionable mind in the formative years today, one should be very aware of, because I think the whole game is being about kitne log mujhe dekhte hain, and it's pretty much a reflection of the way advertising is.
Yeah, and people also, because it became very easy medium. I mean, earlier people used to, do everything manually. People have to study the science of photography. Today, you don't need to learn the science of photography. I mean, I give it to my daughter and she can take a better photograph than you, me, or Sopan or anybody. By fluke. How do I do consistently great work if still people haven't understood? So by fluke, there are a lot of good photographers because they don't know what is good. I mean, there must be 30,000 photographers in Bombay who do good commercial work. But if you see their work, it looks like dog's vomit. So it's difficult to... So people don't know what is good to start with. they are not exposed to good because they are exposed to Instagram and Facebook, and they don't know what to look, where to look for the good photographs.
But even seeing, I would put senior photographers also in that pool.
Yeah,
Very valid point. Very good.
True.
Can I come in?
Yeah.
I think Dinesh, sorry Amit sir, Dinesh sir was waiting for his question. We'll get you on next.
Carry on.
And if I could, because since you talked, Prashant, it's lovely to hear dogs vomit.
That is great.
No, it's something that Muhammad used to say all the time to work with. He didn't like one bit. No, I just wanted to go back to one of the rules you were talking about how you turn things on the head. We've been constantly talking about how the photographer or the creative person or the agency, and we're beating ourselves by saying that we are not able to do it or we are not able to see it, etc. But aren't we in a transactional and a communication world? And shouldn't we be looking at what the audience is and what the audience is experiencing? How, for instance, their attention spans become much lesser. How they have to, whatever little attention they have is actually being distributed across number of channels of communication. Isn't it my responsibility as a creative person to understand that is what is happening out there and stop worrying about कि अरे यार पर मैं तो ऐसे करता था और therefore मैं तो ऐसे ही करता रहूँगा, then get off the train.
I'll say it other way around. I mean, why look out? Because we know we are at fault. It's not the people. People always was busy and doing their own thing. Advertising is intrusion. The photograph that you're doing is intrusion in his life. If you don't stand out, if you don't make me look at the damn thing, I'm not going to look at you. So,
the point I'm making is, are we therefore creating the kind of photographs which isn't truth?
There's a truth in what we are saying, what you're saying, ki attention span is getting divided, but it was getting divided then also. It was getting divided, and it will get divided even in future.
Absolutely.
But what is, why there is only one Raghu Rai, why there is only one Amitabh Bachchan, or why? Because at the end of the day, your product is what you are. What you produce is what you are. And I think
I would think maybe the reason for that is because there are 15 brands in the same market, today, which is looking for attention.
Also, I mean, if you start compromising, like people don't trust you these days, and they don't respect you, and they don't. So the moment you start compromising, the moment you start working for money rather than for your name or you tend to compromise, and the moment you do compromise, you fall flat.
I would want to just make a point here that I'm trying to explore this point as much as you are. All I'm saying is, like you rightly said, look at it from another point of view and not just our own eyes. I do feel, and I get this, honestly, for instance, I say nowadays that my best mentors, for instance, are my daughters. I look at today's world through their eyes rather than telling them how to look at their world through mine. If we try and understand that, if we try and give ourselves the freedom to think that someone else is running this world today, not me anymore. Can I put myself into their heads and understand what's going on? I think there might be an understanding and an awakening in us too.
No, that's true. I mean, you, for newer technology, but I think the basic principle hasn't changed. The goodness, the good thing in life.
You and I don't think so, sir. Maybe it has. Maybe it has.
Yeah.
May I ask one more question? I know I'm.
Yeah.
Do you blame this situation on the easing of technology? As in, you required, if you wanted to do one design, you needed to have gone to JJ for 5 years and learned your typography or photography or whatever else. With computer programs coming up, anybody with a computer could sit and start putting letters together, putting a picture, making a layout. He may not be as good as you, but he could produce something. And then you start compromising. Ye sir, natak ke bina karke de raha hai, Why are we talking to this man who's sitting on a high horse? Ye fatafat 2 minute mein karke dega layout mere ko, and we'll go ahead. We'll use it. Similarly with the camera and with your phone, everybody has become into a photographer. little things you can enhance your images and all, which you needed to sit with the camera and learn how to use it, F.Stop, whatever, you know. Do you think technology has actually been detrimental to creativity?
No. I mean, to some extent, who look at life like what you said, "Arey, 10,000 mein karke de raha hai, why should I go to the photographer who's going to charge me 2 lakhs a day?"
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, his images are, yeah, thoda 20% kam acha hai, but it's there. There's nothing wrong with that. So that attitude is there, but that is the attitude. It's got nothing, because whether the more democratization of the medium is nice, because more experiments happen, the more good stuff will come out, and there will be again fantastic guys in that space. Today also, good photographers are still getting 3 lakhs a day as a assignment fees, and there are people that are there who are willing to give because they value their quality, they value their existence. If the buyer is saying, I don't give a damn about quality, I don't mind, you know, compromising. Instead of going to Amitabh Bachchan, I'll make do with some artist. Baman.
Baman. Baman Lagavul and cancel for Prashant.
लोग हंस रहे हो, जो भी हंसा है तो याद रखना.
मैं तो लागा.
Baman sir record किया है.
कोई बात नहीं यार.
Lagavul and cancel Prashant, तेरे को ठर्रा मिलने वाला है.
सच बोला है Prashant. सच.
No. But what I'm saying was that it's that. It's people tend to compromise, and that compromise is going to cost you. I mean, in terms of quality. And again, you can ask whether it's what that guy gives is a great quality or not. And Baman was far better than Amitabh Bachchan. I agree with you.
चलो लागा.
It will be turn out like that, because some guy is young who will do assignment in 10,000 rupees, and he'll do such a brilliant job that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, next generation also has to grow and become tomorrow's stars. No? I mean, that's how they do it. I mean, it's I mean, honestly, if I may just take 1 second more, the only thing I was wanting to say, and I hope I communicated properly, is that probably our generation also needs to open our minds and hearts and say, hey, hello, there's another world out here.
100% true, Dinesh.
100%.
Thank you. We're kind of running out of time. We'll just take 2 more questions. If I can get Amit sir.
No, you take the question. I just wanted to compliment. I'll speak later, but if there are questions, please take questions.
So just one last question from Ashish. Ashish, if you can hear us.
Hi.
Yeah, hi Ashish. Go ahead.
Hi everyone. So sir, my question is to, as we all know, all photographers love black and white images. So right now, everybody loves black and white. So why do you take black and white images versus color? And why, when it comes to color, it adds up more to the pictures? Then why do you choose black and white more?
I don't know, yeah.
There is an answer.
My camera is colorblind. I mean, a lot of great photographers given enough explanation how black and white becomes so. I mean, it's avoid all the distraction of color. There's nothing wrong in color. Let me just tell you, if you can handle color, there's no such thing.
More difficult to handle.
It's much more difficult to do color, and that's why people choose black and white. Black and white is sexy, and that's the way. But color, a real great, and even in our country, see how many great color photographers. Very few in the history of. And black and white used to be very tough to print and process. Actually, I know for a fact that and color used to be just available in transparencies at one point of time. So I think color photography is not just about color. Color photography is how you use that color. And I don't know how many photographers, even who have shot for years, will admit the fact that it is far more difficult for color to work, vis-a-vis taking color out and using black and white to seduce the viewer.
Yeah. And if I may just add to that, color is something when you're dealing with your entire reality. And then to make a special picture while bringing reality into the photograph, as opposed to black and white, where you're able to take that one layer of color away and anyway make it exotic straight away. You take it into the slightly surreal by doing that. I agree with Swapan. It's a far more difficult medium. But anyway, I don't think it should not anyway be this versus that. Each of them is almost a separate language. It intends to say different things, and therefore has different purposes.
No, and also if you look at the films, which is all the feature films and all the Hollywood films and all the Bollywood films, you have to control the colors. I mean, all the cinematographers, all the great photographers, they do control the colors by either filtering or in a post-production, they create a color palette. You need to work with the color scheme. In the street, you can't control anything. You only control morning, evening light. That's the only time you can do good work in color. Afternoons, it will be dead. So it is. If you are doing commercial and if you can work, I mean, commercial photographer will give you more correct explanation. But you can control the color scheme, color palette. If you can do that, then color is best. I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
I would rather say, don't shoot for the sake of color.
Yeah, that is also true.
Yeah, I would say shoot for the sake of color.
Well, that's not my statement. Actually, we had a long. Anyway, we can discuss this later.
Yeah,
I was coming to. Can I come in now? Is it? I just wanted to say, what a wonderful presentation and wonderful body of work, and more than that, wonderful mind. Beautiful mind. What creates that? My only thing was, we were talking about you were showing that PepsiCo film about that Purushottam.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a wonderful composition. Who wrote that composition? And when you were doing this film, what was the thought process? I just wanted to hear that.
No, so
incredible film. You mentioned about the cinematographer.
Yeah, Tassadduk Hussain is a brilliant. I mean, you can't go wrong with it. Omkara guy.
Sorry?
Tassadduk Hussain is a guy who shot.
Yeah. Who wrote that?
Jaikrit Rawat, the guy who wrote Hamara Bajaj. I went to him to get the script done from him. So he's a brilliant writer.
Wonderful.
And again, the brief is similar because there is a problem in Gujarat where the farmers the Pepsi sued farmers because they used to sell their seeds. Political parties got into action. So they wanted to correct that image. And it worked so brilliantly for them. 15 million hits they got on Facebook and YouTube, all put together. So they asked me to do the same thing for Egypt and Bangkok. And I just finished those two films for them in Bangkok, for the Bangkok. And in Egypt, in Arabic, now they asked me to do for 8 more countries and the corona happened. So I'm here.
Anyway, thank you.
I just believe Tarun had to add something and then we can conclude.
I just, in between I had, but there are many questions which they are already answered. My questions are already answered. Thank you. Give chance to
okay, so we are just kind of concluding this, but before we do that, we had none other than Baman who had something special and he wanted to speak to us about something interesting. Baman, if you could hand this thing to you.
Sure. Don't put me on a solo screen. I want to see everyone's faces. I know there's a lot of time still left before we conclude, and I hope this series never concludes. This I say from the bottom of my heart. And from what I have experienced in the past 10 days, 9-10 days, I'm not so sure. I think it's been life-changing in many ways for me, and I've been talking to each and every one of you after every session and feeling so very proud and privileged to be here. But I think the common feeling is more or less the same. And when I see this screen, and I see these little boxes, I hate to use the word thumbnail, I see faces, but I also see mops of hair. And different kinds of mops of hair that tell a story. Fawzan is already smiling because, I pick on him often. Mops of hair, all different kinds of, so the representation is that. And I penned some words which I wanted to share with you. They might be simplistic or they might be complicated. I don't know, but it definitely expresses something that I feel. And I dare say that I think what you guys also feel in a common way. So before you bring it onto the screen, I'll start off with this little pre-mumble of mine, and then talk about what this means to me, what it probably means to all of you, and let's see how it goes. So don't read along with me rather than preempting the next verse while it's on your screen. So I'll read it for you with the thing on your screen, and let's hopefully feel the feeling from here is truly genuine, and I hope it means something to you too. So let's put the and I'll read it, okay? क्या हुआ? थोड़ा sharpen कर लो. So it seems, very good. Can everybody hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
My screen is but a collage of mops of hair in different hues, some thinned or on a diet. Grays and blacks, maybe just those two. Those strands sit meshed and quiet. Those loyal locks do witness bear of their life and former days, of boys with toys who stepped afield with a hungry hunter's gaze. The toys they had were noble guns. They prowled the field like cats, resting, shooting, rifling in, or at night they hung like bats. When back home they spread their scalps in dark and stormy trays, squinting, skirming, and even smiled under a reddened gaze. I gaze my screen. The collage schools my soul most every day. An image frames my greedy mind with words my friends might say. I gaze my screen as they must too. Our mops all look the same. Spent we may look, but that's not true. We're good to go again. Years and years, the same old prayer. They are on their favorite beat. The star, the shade, the man, the scape. The same but different street. The winter's high, the sun is low, the summers beat the brow. Again at home, they spread their scalps. They're doing it even now.
Lovely.
Wow.
Lovely.
Fantastic. Beautiful.
How touching is this? Thank you.
Thank you. Comes from the
Lovely,
heart, guys.
sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Thank you. He just came up with this idea yesterday evening and he said, should we do it? And, we immediately jumped onto it that you need to do it tomorrow. We don't have time. So thank you so much for all that encouragement. Thank you, Prashant. Thank you for today. I'll just hand over things to Devang to conclude this meeting here today.
Thanks, Vinay. Thank you so much to Prashantji. What a wonderful work you've shown, especially the entire story that you had created, and it was just brilliant. The learnings in that storyline was just amazing. And what a wonderful way to end it by Bowman sir giving this beautiful, beautiful poem to this entire audience and to this entire collage of people, I may say. It's just wonderful, and I think we're adding a little bit of spice, a little bit of masala, a little rosemary, a little thyme, something every day, and it's becoming so beautifully tasteful. People are loving it. Thank you so much to all our panelists, all of you who are on the screen right now. Thank you, Prashantji, for your presentation. Thank you to our guest, Kunalji, who we hope you can join us again. Thank you to Amit Mehraji, Swapan, Fauzan, Tarunji, Dineshji, Raj, and thank you to Bowman sir once again for the lovely, lovely words. Ashit and Vinay, thank you once again.